I was preparing for a wedding when I found a second ring in his sock drawer that was not mine. While I was planning our dream day, he was out proposing to someone else. Same man. 2 fiancés. The worst part? His other fiancé had no idea about me either. So I made sure we both found out the truth on the exact same day, in the most public way possible. Guys, I still can't believe I'm actually writing this. It feels completely insane, but I still remember the exact moment the lie started unraveling. It was a Wednesday. I had the house to myself, working from home in my favorite hoodie, and those fuzzy socks with holes in the heels. My laptop screen was a patchwork of Pinterest boards, budget spreadsheets, and a draft of our wedding seating chart that looked more like a battlefield than a celebration. No red flags. Not a single one. Well, not that day anyway. Josh had texted that morning, heading to the gym after work. Don't wait up for dinner. Totally normal. That was the thing about Josh. His lies were never flashy. Just subtle enough to slip under the radar. Just believable enough to feel real. I was changing the sheets when I knocked over the laundry basket. The lid of his sock drawer popped open when the basket hit the edge. Annoying, clunky little thing. As I shoved it shut again, something shiny caught my eye. I froze. At first I thought it was my engagement ring. I'd taken it off that morning to clean dishes and left it on the bathroom sink. But this ring? It wasn't mine. It was a solitaire classic round-cut diamond, smaller than mine, dainty little band with vintage etching, and it was brand new. The tag was still tucked under the cushion, with a receipt folded beneath it. A receipt dated last week. He had already proposed to me 6 months ago. We had a venue booked, save the dates printed, and my mom deep in flower arrangement debates. So, who was this ring for? My heart went quiet. You know that eerie silence before a panic attack? That. My brain was trying to find a reasonable explanation. Maybe he bought it for a friend who was going to propose? Maybe it was an early anniversary gift? Maybe it was a backup ring? Yeah, a backup ring. My brain really reached for that one. Then I opened the receipt. The name on the store account said Josh Whitaker. The purchase was labeled Custom Engagement Ring, engraved, Forever, LL. My name does not start with L. And that was the moment everything I knew, everything I trusted, started to shift under my feet. I didn't cry. Not then. I stood there, holding that ring like it was radioactive, heart pounding so loud it felt like a fire alarm in my chest. Then, I reached for my phone and texted one person. Hey, you still do PI work on the side? I need help. Like, now. The next morning, my phone buzzed at 7:04 a.m. Meet me at the usual coffee spot. 10 a.m. Don't bring him. That was from Tasha, a friend from college, who now did private investigation work on the side. In college, she was the one who could dig up anyone's fake ID source, class schedule, or dating history in under 24 hours. She called it Girl Math Meets FBI Energy, and it stuck. I threw on leggings and a sweatshirt and drove in silence, my stomach folding in on itself. I kept replaying everything about the last few months, how Josh would work late at least once a week, his sudden obsession with changing his cologne, and the random cash withdrawals he said were for vendor deposits. I hadn't questioned it. I was too busy choosing napkin fonts and arguing with my mom over peonies versus ranunculus. When I walked into the cafe, Tasha already had 2 lattes on the table. Mine was marked with a red heart instead of a name. Classic her. Okay, she said, not even bothering with a hello. Tell me everything. So I did. From the ring in the drawer to the engraving with the letter L. I showed her a photo of the receipt, and her eyes narrowed like a bloodhound catching a scent. You said the ring was bought last week, yeah? He was supposed to be in Charlotte for work, right? I nodded. She opened her laptop, fingers flying. Let's start simple. Credit card history, social media breadcrumbs, and a little old-fashioned stalking. Within 15 minutes, she found something. A tagged Instagram post, Josh, standing in front of some bougie steakhouse I didn't recognize. Arm wrapped around a woman in a silky red dress. She zoomed in. Lena Marie writes. The caption read, Best night of my life. No. No, no, no. I blinked. My heart skidded sideways. The post had been uploaded 2 days ago. It had 87 likes, mostly comments like, OMG, congrats, girl, and you two are so cute. Tasha clicked on Lena's profile. It was public, full of aesthetically perfect bookish content writing quotes, coffee shop selfies, and a carousel post from that same steakhouse dinner. The third photo? A close-up of her hand, showing off the same ring I'd found in our sock drawer. Engraved, Forever L. She thinks they're engaged, I whispered. Tasha looked up, brows raised. She doesn't think she is. He proposed. That ring's on her finger now. And just like that, I realized what this was. I wasn't being cheated on. I was being double booked. Same man. 2 fiancés, 2 lives, 2 sets of lies. The worst part? She looked genuinely happy. Her smile wasn't smug or sneaky. She didn't seem like a mistress or some secret affair. She seemed like someone in love, someone who thought she had it all. I didn't even realize I was crying until a tear hit the table. Tasha slid a napkin over. What do you want to do? I stared at the photo of Lena again, then at Josh's face, smiling that same smile he used when he proposed to me in front of my family. I want to meet her, I said, voice shaking. I want to look her in the eye and ask if she knows who she's engaged to. Tasha didn't flinch. Okay, she said, flipping open her notebook. Let's make a plan. If you've ever had to smile while your heart is breaking, you know what I felt the day I met Lena. Tasha, being the tactical queen she is, found out Lena did weekly writing meetups at this tiny indie cafe on the east side. She'd been tagged there multiple times on Wednesdays, same latte art, same cozy corner seat by the window. Predictable. Innocent. I didn't sleep the night before. I kept staring at the ceiling, clutching my pillow like it could hold me together. Josh had come home late, claimed traffic, and kissed me goodnight like everything was normal. I let him. I even whispered, "Love you" back. By 10 a.m. the next morning, I was sitting 2 tables away from Lena, stirring a lukewarm coffee I didn't even want. My hands were trembling so bad I couldn't take a proper sip. Tasha sat by the window, pretending to read while keeping an eye on us. Lena looked exactly like her photos. Soft curls, light pink lipstick, delicate gold jewelry. Her engagement ring sparkled every time she reached for her laptop, and she beamed when she looked at it like she couldn't believe her luck. That stung more than I expected. When I finally worked up the courage, I stood, heart thundering in my chest, and walked over to her table. "Hi," I said. "Are you Lena?" She looked up, surprised, but polite. "Yeah?" I pulled out the chair across from her. "I know this is really weird, but I think we need to talk. It's about Josh." Her entire body stiffened. Her fingers froze mid-keystroke. She didn't say anything for a full 5 seconds. Then, cautiously, "Josh Whitaker?" I nodded. She slowly closed her laptop. "You know him?" I held up my left hand. Her eyes dropped to my engagement ring, the one Josh gave me. Her face went pale. "No," she whispered. "No. That can't." He said he ended things with his ex months ago. That she was unstable. Obsessive. I let out a dry laugh. "That's funny. He told me you were just a coworker with a harmless crush. Said he was handling it." She blinked rapidly, trying to process. "We've been engaged for 2 weeks. He proposed during dinner at Ruth's Chris." He cried. I have photos, I know," I cut in gently. "I saw them. On your Instagram. That's how I found you." Lena covered her mouth with her hands. Her eyes shimmered with tears. Tasha got up then, slid over a folder she'd put together. "I didn't want to overwhelm you," I said, "but I brought some receipts, phone records, location data, duplicate purchases. He bought us both rings, custom engraved." Lena slowly opened the folder. With every page she turned, her shoulders sank lower. Then she looked up, and what she said next changed everything. "I'm pregnant," she whispered. "He doesn't know yet." My breath caught. Suddenly, this wasn't just about betrayal or humiliation. This was about her life, my life, and a man who had built a Jenga tower of lies, waiting for it to topple. I leaned in. "Then we're going to make sure he knows exactly what he's done," I said. "And we're going to do it our way." Her eyes narrowed, tears still wet, but now there was fire behind them. "Let's burn it down." We spent the next 3 hours in that cafe, planning the kind of revenge that doesn't involve rage or yelling or keying someone's car, but something so much better. Undeniable truth. Public. Clean. Deserved. Lena and I were 2 strangers connected by the same betrayal, sitting across from each other like alternate universe versions of what could have been. But there was something weirdly healing in it too. For the first time since I found that second ring, I didn't feel crazy. I felt clarity. And Lena? For someone who looked like she belonged in a dreamy romance novel, she had main character vengeance energy simmering just below the surface. She closed Tasha's folder slowly, then looked up at us. "So, how do we ruin him?" Tasha grinned like she'd just been asked to plan a heist. "Not ruin," she said. "Exposé. And the perfect place to do it." She turned her laptop to show us. The engagement party. Our engagement party. The one I had planned. The one scheduled for Saturday night. Family, friends, co-workers. 40 people who thought Josh was Prince Charming in khakis. He had no idea Lena and I had even met, let alone that we were planning to stand side by side in front of a room full of people who still believed in him. I bit my lip. "We could both be there." Lena nodded. "Wearing our rings." Tasha leaned forward. "Here's the plan." By the end of the night, we had everything mapped out. Tasha would handle photos, timelines, side by side, ring receipts, call logs, everything organized in a nice, humiliating little PowerPoint. I'd make sure he didn't see Lena before we were ready. Lena would tell him she had a surprise and ask to give a speech during the toast. I'd act completely normal, like I was still the doting fiancé. At the climax, we'd both walk to the front of the room, together, and then drop the mic. I want him to feel the room shift, I said. I want him to look around and realize he can't lie his way out of it. Lena stared at her ring for a long time, twisting it slowly on her finger. I want him to remember this every time he tells someone he's a good guy. I reached across the table, and she took my hand. It wasn't just solidarity, it was survival. We'd both been tricked, used, played, but we weren't going to let him write the ending. We were. By the time I got home that night, I was exhausted but focused. Josh was already in bed, scrolling TikTok like he hadn't shattered 2 lives with 1 ring. I climbed in next to him and rested my head on his shoulder. He smiled without looking away from his screen. "You're quiet," he said. I kissed his cheek. "Just tired. Big weekend ahead, right?" He turned and kissed me back. I can't wait. Neither could I. Saturday came faster than I expected. I spent the morning curling my hair with shaking hands, wondering how I'd gotten here. Not just to this moment, but to this man. The version of Josh I thought I was marrying wasn't real. He was a well-curated illusion. Someone who knew how to say just enough, do just enough, love just enough, until he didn't. By 5 p.m., I was standing in front of the mirror in the pale blue dress I'd bought for the party, simple, soft, safe. The kind of thing I would have worn when I still believed everything was fine. Tonight, though, it felt like armor. Josh was buzzing with energy all afternoon. He made a point of wrapping his arm around my waist every chance he got, whispering things like, "You're the only one I'll ever need, and I can't wait to start forever." The audacity of this man. The party was held at his coworker's house, a fancy open floor plan situation, with string lights, champagne flutes, and soft jazz humming from the speakers. Everything felt too elegant for the kind of chaos about to unfold. Tasha was already there, camera ready, casually blending in with the crowd. Lena arrived 20 minutes later, alone, wearing a deep burgundy dress and confidence like perfume. She looked gorgeous and terrifying. Josh didn't see her at first, but when he did, his entire face short-circuited. He blinked once, twice, then turned to me, panic in his eyes. Is that?" I smiled sweetly, looping my arm through his. I invited her. Thought it was time we all got acquainted. He looked like he might pass out. Lena met us halfway, calm as ever. "Hi, babe," she said to him, loud enough for at least 3 nearby people to hear. "Hope I'm not too early." He stared at her, then at me, then back at her. You could see it in real time, the unraveling. People were starting to notice. Conversations paused mid-sentence. The room quieted like a held breath. Tasha gave me a discreet nod from across the room. It was time. Josh tried to pull me aside. "Can we talk? Alone? Now?" I smiled wider. "In a bit. We're about to give a toast." We walked to the front of the room, me on his left, Lena on his right. I could see his throat tightening like he was physically swallowing panic. I raised my glass. "Hi, everyone," I said, voice steady. "Thank you so much for being here to celebrate our engagement. It means the world to me, and to Josh, right?" He nodded stiffly. Someone in the back giggled. Not a laugh. One of those oh no kind of laughs. "And actually," I continued, "there's someone else Josh would also like to celebrate with tonight." I turned to Lena. She raised her glass too. "Hi, I'm Lena. I'm also engaged to Josh." Gasps, murmurs. One woman choked on her champagne. Josh's face had gone full chalk white. He tried to speak, but no words came out. Just a squeaky, broken syllable sound, like a balloon deflating. "Oh, and fun fact," I added, "he proposed to me 6 months ago, and to Lena 2 weeks ago. Same man. 2 rings. 1 very bad liar." Tasha hit the projector. Boom. Side-by-side photos. Us with Josh. The rings. Receipts. Dates. Timestamps. The engraving. Forever L. Forever L. And then, silence. Not from the crowd. From Josh. His mouth moved, but again nothing. A slow, humiliating realization swept through the room like a wave. People stepped back. One of his uncles shook his head and walked out. And then Lena leaned in, softly said just loud enough for people to hear, "Oh, by the way, I'm pregnant." That was the final straw. Josh stumbled backward like he'd been hit. I handed him the mic. "Would you like to say anything, fiancé?" He didn't. He just turned and walked out the front door. No goodbye. No explanation. Nothing. The moment Josh walked out that front door, the whole room broke into noise. Some gasps, some whispered holy CRP. A few full-on belly laughs, Tasha, mostly, and a wave of people who didn't know whether to clap or cry. I stood there, numb but proud. The kind of proud you feel after reclaiming your sanity in public. Lena turned to me and mouthed, "You okay?" I wasn't. Not even close. But I nodded anyway. It took about 30 seconds before the DMs started pouring in. I had posted one photo of me and Lena holding champagne glasses. The caption, "Turns out we're engaged to the same man." Tonight we found out we're not the only ones. No hashtags. No names. But people talk. And oh, did they. By midnight, mutual friends were texting. Coworkers were spiraling, and his cousin Lauren, who'd never liked me and once called me clingy, actually messaged me. OMG. I am so sorry. None of us knew. He always acted like you two were this perfect couple. I didn't reply, but I screenshotted it. For the record, Josh didn't call me that night, but his mom did, twice. I didn't answer, but she left a voicemail teary, confused, and saying something like, I just want to understand what happened. He said you sabotaged something? Oh, sweetheart. I didn't sabotage anything. He did. I just handed him the microphone. Lena stayed with me that night. We sat on my floor at 2 a.m. with leftover party snacks, our heels kicked off, and my dog curled between us like he was emotionally buffering the two of us. There was no celebrating, no gloating. Just two women sitting in the quiet aftermath of a man's disaster. She looked down at her stomach for a moment, then at me. I don't even know what to want right now, she said quietly. He was going to be the father of my child. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. He was going to be my husband. We didn't say anything for a while after that, just sat in the soft buzz of the fridge and string lights. I don't know when we fell asleep, but I do know the moment that woke us up. My phone buzzing. Again and again. I cracked one eye open and looked at the screen. Josh. Missed call. Then another. Then a message. Please, let's talk. I messed up. You don't know the whole story. I laughed. The whole story? Oh, babe, I hosted the PowerPoint. Then my phone buzzed again. But it wasn't from him this time. It was an email from someone named Talia B. Subject line, you don't know me, but I think I'm fiancé number 3. When I saw the subject line, you don't know me, but I think I'm fiancé number 3, I didn't move for a full minute. Lena, still half asleep on my couch, noticed the look on my face. What? Did he send a voice memo or something equally dumb? I turned the screen to her. She blinked at it. You've got to be kidding me. But nope. We opened it together, side by side on the couch, like two crime investigators cracking open a fresh file. Talia B. The email started off calm. Too calm. Like the kind of calm you use when you're trying not to scream. Hi. I know this is out of the blue, but I saw your Instagram post and recognized him. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but the Josh in your photo is the same man I've been dating for just over a year. We've been long distance. He said he travels a lot for work, and I was supposed to fly out to visit him next month. We met through a professional networking app. I work in interior design, and he messaged me saying he needed help redoing his new condo, said it was a bachelor pad, and he wanted to make it feel more like home. My stomach flipped. Bachelor pad. Condo. I had no idea he had a condo. Lena just covered her mouth and whispered, oh my God. The email went on. He told me he was divorced, no kids, and said he'd had his heart broken by a woman who cheated on him with her yoga instructor. He used to joke that he'd never fall for another L-named girl again. Ironic, I guess. I blinked hard. But here's the kicker. I found a receipt in his suitcase a couple weeks ago for an engagement ring. I didn't ask about it, but I had a weird feeling. Then I saw your post. Please tell me this is some sick mistake. Attached were screenshots, texts from Josh. Can't wait for next month. I want to show you where I see us living someday. A calendar invite he sent her. Proposal weekend. A mirror selfie of him. Taken in our guest bathroom. Same tile. Same ugly soap dispenser I keep forgetting to replace. Lena and I just stared at each other. No. Freaking way. She paced the room, one hand on her belly, the other pulling at her curls. This man is a walking Lifetime movie. And she wasn't wrong. Because Josh wasn't just a liar. He was a collector. Collecting fiancés like they were Pokemon cards. Engaged to me for 6 months. Engaged to Lena for 2 weeks. Planning to propose to Talia next month. 3 women. 1 man. 0 decency. And suddenly I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was furious. Because now this wasn't just about me, or Lena, or even Talia. This was about how many more there might be. I typed out a quick reply to Talia. Hi, I'm so sorry, but yes, that's him. His name is Josh Whitaker, and you're not the only one. Can we talk? Within 24 hours, we were on a group call. Me, Lena, and Talia. And what Talia revealed next, let's just say it changed everything. Because Josh had more than a ring planned for her. He had a down payment on a second apartment in her name. We didn't even plan to become a group chat. But by Monday night, Lena, Talia, and I were knee-deep in what felt less like a relationship drama and more like a full-blown investigation. The group chat name? The Fiancée Files. Lena's idea. Iconic. And in that chat, we pieced together the truth, or at least enough of it to realize this went far deeper than any of us imagined. Talia dropped the bomb first. Okay, so here's the thing. Josh asked me to co-sign for a lease. My jaw actually dropped when she said it over the call. He said his credit was recovering from an identity theft issue, and that he'd pay for everything. He just needed someone trustworthy on the paperwork to lock in the unit. She pulled up the lease application. Yep, his name and hers. He had even gone so far as to forward her fake bank statements. Girl had receipts. I said I'd think about it, but the next day he texted saying it was handled, and he found another way. That other way turned out to be a short-term lease, in cash. The apartment was real. He'd rented it out just last month. We pulled the address from an old location tag he didn't even realize was attached to a photo on Google Drive. Yes, he was that careless. We decided to check it out. Not together, too risky. So I went. I told Josh I was going to a bridal boutique with my cousin. Then I drove across town and parked a block away from the listed address. The building was modern. Too modern for Josh's salary as a mid-level sales guy. Unless sales was code for scam. I waited, watched, and an hour later, Josh pulled up. With another woman. Not Lena. Not Talia. Another one. She was younger, maybe mid-20s, cute in that effortless way. They walked in together, laughing, carrying what looked like groceries. Josh had his hand on her lower back. I sat frozen in my car, staring through the windshield, bile rising in my throat. He had a fourth life, a fourth someone. We weren't even the full list. We were just the ones who'd found each other. That night, we met at Lena's apartment. Tasha came too, and we laid it all out. I think he's doing this on purpose, Talia said, her voice tight. He's conning women into helping him build this fake future, one that only he gets to control. Lena nodded. And he's doing just enough for each of us, that we question ourselves instead of him. The rage was building in all of us now, but it was focused, fueled. And then Tasha, bless her emotionally unbothered soul, stood up and said, "Okay, so let's get legal." By the end of the week, Tasha had spoken to a friend at a financial crimes unit. Talia filed a fraud report about the lease incident. Lena had a consult with a family lawyer because that baby deserves protection. And me? I started gathering everything Josh had ever sent me. Every wire transfer, every suspicious receipt, every lie I could pin to a date. Because it was becoming clear Josh wasn't just a cheating fiancé. He was running a romance scam. A slow burn con artist using love to fuel his lifestyle. And it wasn't just going to end in heartbreak anymore, it was going to end in consequences. You know that part in movies where the villain doesn't even realize the trap's already been set? That's exactly where Josh was, still living in his delusion, probably thinking I was too heartbroken to do anything. Lena was too hormonal to take action, and Talia was too far away to matter. Wrong on all counts, because we weren't victims anymore. We were the storm. The plan was simple, elegant, even. Set the bait, let him come to us. Catch it all. We'd decided to use my place. Josh still had a key. Of course he did, and after a few carefully timed texts, "Let's talk. I miss you." Gag, I invited him over under the illusion that I was open to working through things. He responded within minutes. "Thank God. I knew we could fix this. You'll see. I'll explain everything." Oh, we were counting on it. Saturday, 6:47 p.m. The lights were dimmed. My laptop sat open on the kitchen island. Tasha had wired up her old webcam to stream and record. Lena was on standby in the spare room. Talia had flown in the night before and waited in the car across the street with her AirPods in. I had one job: keep him talking. Josh walked in carrying a bottle of wine and this smarmy, apologetic smirk. "Hey, babe," he said like nothing had happened. "You look amazing." I didn't smile, just nodded. "We need to talk." He sat, tried to hold my hand. I pulled it back. "I just want to clear things up," he started. "I know that party got out of hand, and Lena, well, I don't know what she told you, but she's not what?" Lena stepped out from the hallway. Josh blinked. "What the hell is this?" Then the front door opened. Talia entered. He turned ghost white. Tasha clicked record. What followed was 23 minutes of verbal gymnastics. He lied, then lied about lying, then tried to twist the lies into half-truths. "I never officially proposed to her. Lena, you said yes. But I was going to talk to you again before we made it public. Talia, I didn't ask you to sign the lease. I just said you could come visit, that's all. I told you, babe to me. No shame we were going through a rough patch. I panicked. I didn't think you wanted to marry me anymore." He actually had the audacity to cry. Tears. Real or fake? Who knows? Who cares? We let him ramble. Dig his grave. With every excuse. You don't understand. Every week I messed up, okay? And then I stood up, closed the laptop, and said, "Josh, this conversation was recorded. It's already been sent to my attorney. And Lena's. And Talia's. And to the person you rented the second apartment from under false documents." Josh froze. What? Tasha stepped forward. "Oh, and by the way, you're being investigated. Financial Crimes Division. Identity misrepresentation. Fraud. Big words. Might want to Google them." He opened his mouth, and for the first time in his life, said nothing. He left, quietly. No fight left. And just like that, The house exhaled. I turned to Lena. She hugged me. Talia joined. 3 strangers, bound by one man's lies, now bonded by the truth. It wasn't over. Not legally. But emotionally, it was the beginning of our ending. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of waffles and the weirdly comforting sound of someone else moving around my kitchen. Lena had made breakfast. She stood barefoot in one of my oversized sweatshirts, flipping frozen waffles and humming softly to herself. It was such a normal moment, after weeks of emotional chaos, that I almost cried right there. "I didn't know how you take your coffee," she said without turning around. "So I made it how I like mine. Hope that's okay." It was. It was more than okay. Because here's the thing, they don't tell you about betrayal. It doesn't just break your heart. It warps your reality. It makes you doubt your memories, your intuition, your judgment. You sit there wondering if every sweet moment was real, or just expertly placed bait in a trap you didn't see coming. But slowly, you start to come back to yourself. Waffle by waffle. Brunch with Talia turned into a therapy session disguised as pancakes and lattes. We talked about everything, how we'd all missed the signs, how charming he'd been, how skilled he was at saying just enough to make you doubt yourself instead of him. Talia had started researching support groups for romance scam survivors. She said she didn't want to feel stupid anymore. Lena was looking into therapy, not just for her but for the baby too. She wanted to make sure her child never had to grow up learning what manipulation felt like. And me? I started unplanning my wedding. It was strangely empowering, calling vendors, canceling deposits, deleting Pinterest boards. Each cancellation felt like scrubbing a stain off my future. I even gave back the dress. The boutique owner didn't ask why. She just looked me in the eye and said, "Good for you, sweetheart." And I almost cried again. That week, the 3 of us made a pact. No more hiding, no more shame. We'd keep each other updated on the legal stuff. We'd text on hard days. And we'd celebrate every single win, even the little ones. Because this wasn't just about surviving what Josh did. It was about reclaiming ourselves from the version of love we thought we had to accept. One night, about a week later, I was lying in bed alone, truly alone, for the first time in a long time, and I looked through my camera roll. So many photos with Josh. Smiles, road trips, Sunday brunch selfies. And in all of them, I was looking at him. He was always looking at the camera, or his phone, or off to the side. Never me. Funny how you don't notice that, until you do.